Hi there, this is John Wilkinson again from History Made Easier, with a presentation that takes a look at the Nazi-Soviet Pact, and I'm going to get straight into it. Let's begin with what Hitler gained from the pact. Now, this will only be a short assessment, but don't let that leave you thinking Hitler didn't get a lot out of the pact. He got an awful lot. Hitler would be able to avoid the dreaded war on two fronts, the kind of war that had defeated Germany in World War I. Should Britain and France honour their treaty with Poland, he could focus his forces on them, confident that Poland would be quickly defeated, and without worrying about an attack from the Soviet Union too. What did Stalin gain? Well, Hitler's rise to power in 1933 left the Soviet Union feeling decidedly insecure. Hitler was an avowed enemy of communism, and Lebensraum was a policy of conquest that would involve lands to the east of Germany. What's more, never mind the fact that the Western powers had sided with the Bolsheviks in the Russian Civil War, Stalin had repeatedly shown that he was prepared to work with them in an anti-fascist alliance. But Britain and France first ignored his attempts to form an alliance during the Spanish Civil War, and then didn't even invite Russia to the Munich talks that sealed Czechoslovakia's fate, despite the Soviet Union having an alliance with Czechoslovakia. They had also allowed Germany to rearm, remilitarize the Rhineland, and take over Austria. What's more, the League of Nations had proved a failure. It really must have seemed to the Russians that the West either wanted Hitler to attack the Soviet Union, or they were so weak that they wouldn't make good allies anyway. The Soviet Union needed to feel secure. And Stalin also feared facing a war on two fronts, Germany in the west and Japan in the east. The deal over Poland and the likelihood of Germany facing a war with Britain and France would, he hoped, tie Germany down for a number of years, so weakening it and buying him the time he needed to rearm. What's more, the Soviet Union would gain a slice of Poland itself, and the Balkan states, whilst Finland would come into their sphere of influence, territories that had been a part of Tsarist Russia. Stalin didn't trust Hitler, and he still expected war with Germany at some point, but he needed the time the pact would give him. Even so, should Stalin have agreed to the pact? As we've already noted, Hitler was an avowed enemy of communism. Hitler had also signed a 10-year non-aggression pact with Poland back in January 1934, and had also made non-aggression pacts with Finland, Latvia, and Estonia, when the Nazi-Soviet Pact meant that the Soviet Union would take all these states. So should Stalin have trusted him? Never mind that. In November 1936, Hitler signed an anti-Comintern pact with Japan. It would be joined by Italy a year later. And in 1938, Hitler actually tried to bring Poland into the pact. In return, Germany would extend the Polish-German non-aggression treaty and guarantee Poland's borders. Now, the anti-Comintern Pact was a defensive pact, the powers promising to stay neutral should one of them be attacked by the Soviet Union, and none would make a treaty with the Soviet Union. But it was designed to isolate the Soviet Union. And again, Hitler would break the pact when he signed the Nazi-Soviet Pact. So again, how could anyone trust anything Hitler put his name to? And of course, there was Munich and Czechoslovakia too. So let's change tack and ask if Britain and France could have prevented the pact. We have seen that Stalin had wanted an anti-fascist pact with Britain and France, but had been snubbed during the Spanish Civil War and again at Munich. Still, the Soviet Union was now in talks with Britain and France about an anti-Nazi alliance. Talks that began in March 1939, but dragged on through the summer of that year. Britain in particular did not seem at all keen to commit itself. It only sent low-level officials to the talks, with no authority to sign an agreement, and they were sent by boat. In sharp contrast, Germany flew von Ribbentrop, Hitler's foreign minister, to Moscow with the authority to make a deal. These talks had an urgency about them that said to Stalin the Germans were committed to an alliance. That was not the case with Britain and France. Finally, let's briefly consider the significance of the pact. Well, it sealed the fate of Poland. But whether it would lead to a more general war depended on what Britain and France would do. Hitler thought their treaty with Poland was a bluff. The men I met at Munich are not the kind to start another war, was what he told his generals. He had made an alliance with Mussolini, the Pact of Steel, in May 1939, and now a pact with the Soviet Union. If Britain and France hadn't stood up to him before, they surely wouldn't now. But Britain and France had finally woken up to the fact that Hitler was not just concerned to revise the Treaty of Versailles, nor would he be satisfied with uniting all Germans in a greater Germany. He wanted nothing less than to dominate Europe. So, when Germany invaded Poland, Britain and France issued an ultimatum, though it did take them 2 days to do so. They demanded that Germany withdraw from Poland. If it didn't, war would result. And war it was. Now, if you've listened to other presentations of mine, you'll know that you will find a lot more detail in my ebooks that you can find on Amazon. This one is called Germany and World War II. And if you have listened to other presentations and haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do. We all need motivating. But for this presentation, I'm done, except to thank you for listening and to wish you the very best of luck with your studies. It's worth all the hard work you're putting into it, so keep going. Cheers.